All right, today we're gabbing with Cesie from the Bravo Docket. Angela, her co-host, will join us in a bit. The Bravo Docket is really, if you are a Bravo fan and you have any sort of wondering about one of the many legal situations happening in and around the Bravo world, which it feels like as the years go on, there's more and more of that. And maybe I'll ask my guests why they think that is. But if you are ever wondering, about what's really going on, check out the Bravo Docket because Cesie and Angela are lawyers who know their shit when it comes to Bravo and they know their shit when it comes to the legal side of things. So, Cesie, I really appreciate you being here. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while. And I wanted to really look back at this year from like a legal perspective because there has been so much in 2025. So, how are you doing? Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
I say this every year. I don't think we could have ever anticipated so many legal issues coming out as we're recording. When we started the podcast, we were really focused on the past crimes and the past legal disputes.
Right.
So to have so much going on, currently is just so shocking. And I mean, we're appreciative of it because it gives us stuff to talk about. But
Right.
I could not have predicted it at all.
From like a big picture perspective, one, is it accurate to say that like there is more every single year in this from this lens?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Like that's just
Okay.
me thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah. Like not even numbers wise, just like sort of if that feeling is correct, essentially.
Yeah, I think that feeling is correct, especially with the scope of what's been going on legally. I think there were obviously always divorces.
Yes.
Divorces have been happening since the start of time on Bravo. So I wouldn't really call that to be as big of a scope as something like Jen Shaw being arrested or Wendy being arrested. Those just feel so much deeper and like impactful and shocking, quite frankly. So yeah, like thinking in the past, I mean, we had divorces. Teresa's probably the most comparable to what's been going on recently, but that was just a one-off. Like, a lot more prison happening now.
Yes. Yeah. And like, I feel like from my point of view, it must be some sort of mix of like people seeing other people doing it and knowing that like maybe they're settling for a certain amount of money or like there's a possibility to like just go for it, whether it's based on substantial stuff or not. I'm sure there's a wide range of that. And also we had the reality reckoning spearheaded by Bethany Frankel that like didn't really result in that much, but it also maybe inspired some people to like know they could go that route with things. Again, whether it's based on superfluous stuff or really, real experience, I think is probably up for debate on a case by case basis. But so I'm guessing it's some sort of combo of some of these factors. And I don't know, it's such an interesting thing to think about, sort of the momentum of this kind of action.
Yeah, you bring up a good thing that I didn't even think about, or a good point of the reality reckoning. That led to a lot of lawsuits, civil lawsuits. I was thinking more of the crimes, but you're right. There have been so many lawsuits now filed against Bravo, the network itself, that you would have never seen in the past at all.
Right.
And I'm talking by like husbands as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of those today. Exactly.
We will.
And also, I think the other factor, I feel like that things get brought up more because on the shows, there's this trend now of digging in the past and coming up with like, for example, I think let's just kick it off with Salt Lake City. It's like Lisa Barlow and Bronwyn have both had mostly past things brought up on the show this season. And it's like things that were dismissed or sealed. But they're brought up in a way to sort of discredit the person or shift attention away from their own situation. And that's another thing that I feel like it wasn't as prominent before on the shows.
I think that also might be due to social media and the fans digging stuff up.
You're right.
I truly don't think either of them or any of the cast members dug into their legal pasts. I think it's really us. We're the problem. So
it's me.
For better or worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So the Lisa Barlow lawsuits, obviously, we had the big dismissed luncheon. That was towards the beginning of the season. We haven't really touched on this on the show in a while, but they were brought up on the show. I talked to her at BravoCon in a quick little interview, and she said that everything has been dismissed. I know there was that back in September. She said there was that one case that had not been dismissed. It was like a $400,000 loan, alleged business loan. So is there any update on those loans? And like,
For
yeah,
all I know, it's still proceeding into
okay, okay,
discovery. Like she lost on her motion to dismiss. It is sort of a higher bar. It's not difficult to lose a motion to dismiss, is what I'm trying to say, because it's
hmm,
based on how you're pleading something in a complaint. So if you
got it.
have all the facts there that are supporting the elements of your claims, then your complaint survives. So the fact that she lost her motion to dismiss doesn't really give us much insight into whether or not this is true or not. But after you lose a motion to dismiss, you then proceed into discovery. And then the next sort of step that would happen is you either settle or you
Hmm.
file what's called a motion for summary judgment, which is asking the court to actually weigh the evidence and make a determination on the evidence before heading to trial. So I haven't seen that that's been
Okay.
filed yet.
That was
Yeah.
her words quickly on a red carpet to me. I'm presuming that it's probably just like, how we're trying to present things. But that's the latest that I had heard about this.
Yeah, I think her favorite word this year is dismissed. So,
Got it. And then again, sort of in the beginning of the season, the past situations that Bronwyn had been in were brought up. Again, these are old charges. The first one was like an unpaid month of rent back when she was in college, which was like,
which, yeah, I don't think
like,
anyone was focused on that one. And she
no,
was like,
definitely
guys, it was
not.
just
I
rent.
know.
I'm like,
I
wait,
know.
that's not what they're talking about, but way to deflect and shift it. But
And then the second one was like this. This is where I need a little clarity from you because she said it's a sealed case. It was in 2021, but I think it was based on something that happened years prior to that. And everyone talked about how it was 3 counts of grand theft alongside 1 charge of identity theft. But on the show, she presented it as like the reason why those things are brought up is because the sort of essentially the column that whatever her case was filed under, like those are also part of that sort of category of charge. So
mhm.
I didn't really know what that meant. What do we actually know about this?
Not a lot, not a
Okay.
lot, unfortunately. And I think that's why fans are so frustrated by it. And they want her
Yeah.
to give us clarity because you really can't see anything when you go on the docket. So there are those 3 charges. And I think what she's saying makes sense that it's whatever the fact pattern is underlying those charges, whatever they're basing the charges on, probably does often come with those 3 charges filed, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
that sort of makes sense. I don't know why it got sealed. There are various reasons why. Her case was in San Francisco, and San Francisco does a lot of programming for people who are facing convictions to, before being convicted, entering into a voluntary program with a judge to meet some requirements that the judge sets, like volunteering or retribution
Right.
before getting a conviction, and then that can have your case sealed.
Got
So
it.
there's a myriad of different programs that she could have gone into, maybe she was convicted with it. There's also like post conviction programming that she could have engaged in that would have had her charges sort of removed from, or any convictions removed from her record, and then the case sealed. And that's San
Got it.
Francisco's very
And her saying that she basically can't talk about it because it's sealed, is that accurate or is that like a convenient way to get out of talking about it?
I think that's a convenient way to get out of talking about it because, like, I don't know. Some people were thinking maybe she entered into an NDA with her former employer that said
Okay.
she couldn't talk about it, but that seems more like something that would happen in a civil case. I don't, in my experience, you don't really enter into an NDA with the government or the
Mhm. Right.
prosecutors.
Especially if it was like something as, I mean, it feels like this is like fairly low level from how it's being presented. But again, we don't know. Right. So it's
Right.
like, I
I'm
don't
sure you
know.
saw the rumors online about it being some sort of thing where she was using company card to
Oh, right. I
pay
did
for
see something
personal
about that.
flights. But, I don't like spreading that rumor, and I literally just did, so apologies. But
Got it. Got it.
but because we don't know, there's no way to
Yeah.
verify it, and we try and stick to things that are on the docket and easily
Yeah, totally.
verified through a pleading. So I can't say whether or not that's true. It makes sense, but
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
I mean, I did threads. Is it called threading someone? I did threads, Andy.
What'd you say?
He was taking questions for the reunion, and I said,
Yeah.
"Ask Bronwyn. Just tell us why it was sealed.
Hmm.
You don't have to
Yeah.
get into the facts. Just tell us. Like,
Right.
did you enter one of these programs?
Mm.
Just tell us.
Mm.
Like, it's not that big of a deal."
Yeah. The other thing that people brought up in relation to it being sealed was like, could Todd have gotten it sealed for her or
I
something?
don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
so.
That's not something that money can just do, you know?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last Salt Lake thing, and we're gonna bring Angela in. She is in the waiting room, but
Woohoo!
let's put a bow on Salt Lake. Jen Shaw is being released early, and
Oh my
and
God, that's in like 3 days.
I think that's this week, right? So this episode will come out probably after that happens. But I guess my just one question about that is that like that got her sentence got lowered and lowered like five or six, like a lot of times. Like,
Hmm.
is that common to happen? Is that because it's like a high profile thing? Like how?
No, it's so she could get 15% of her. I have this written somewhere. I should look it up to be more accurate.
Okay.
But essentially, most people can get 15% of their sentence lowered through good behavior. But then there's an additional program that she probably entered into that through more good behavior, you get months of time decreased from your
Okay.
sentence. So I think that's why it kept shifting, was because she was
Wild.
accruing more good behavior credits. Um, yeah, she only
Yeah.
served like what, 2 years
Right. Yeah, a little over two,
of a
like 2.5 years
six-year
or something like that.
sentence.
Yeah. Wild.
I did not like, if I would have bet, I would have lost. Like I thought
Right.
maybe like 4 years, but 2.5 is just,
Yeah. I mean, it feels like
and
she just went in, from our,
right.
yeah.
And we
Wow.
do talk about this in an episode that'll come out on Christmas because we're doing a similar roundup on
Yes.
everything. She still has to pay restitution. She still has like, I want to say $6 million of restitution that she's on the hook for. I don't know how much of that she's paid yet because you could work in
Yeah.
prison
Right.
and
Right.
plus she has 5 years of supervision. So she like it's a supervised release. She's going to be on probation, which is still very restrictive. It's not like
Hmm.
she's gets to run out and
Right.
I don't know,
Maybe
buy a
whichever,
gun and start
whatever, like,
shooting up. I like
whatever, like,
I
whatever, like, side reality shows she's gonna try to, because she has to make money, right? And
she does.
her former business that she quote unquote made money through, I'm guessing is not going to operate anymore, and she's not going to get a Bravo check anymore.
She's
To
not
be
allowed
very
to. She's
clear.
not allowed to engage in any more telemarketing. I think that was one of the conditions of her sentence. And she's
Okay.
not, I believe, not supposed to be making any money off of the um like everything that led to her charges. I don't think she can. I
Wow.
don't know how that works. I don't really know the boundaries of
So,
it,
so
but
does that prohibit her? We won't see Jen Shaw on season 5 of World's Toughest Test. Like that.
I think she can be on television.
Not
I
just not
don't
the
think
show.
she could be the star of a documentary about her crimes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
That's
that's sort
really
of the
interesting.
distinction. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna bring Angela in as we move into the Potomac.
Hi.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Good. How
Thanks
are
for joining
you?
us. Good. We just touched on Salt Lake stuff. We're moving into the Potomac realm of
Okay.
stuff. Let's start with the shorter topics. Karen Huger released from prison. Um, do you anticipate? I guess there's not that much to say from like a legal perspective. I'm guessing on sort of what has happened with Karen this year, but I guess like what would you guys want to hear from her in that sit down with Andy that we're going to get in the finale of Potomac? Like, I don't know, just as a viewer and all, like who have these expertise, like what do you what have we not gotten from her that we should get from Karen if she wants to show true, like, I don't know,
I think some
remorse?
context or background for her struggles with drugs and alcohol. I think that's something that a lot of people could relate to.
Hmm.
Just hearing her talk about how she was struggling with it and how I think probably her denial of it stopped her from getting the help she needed and got her to that position. And hopefully, how she's grateful that she's gotten the help she needs now and that she knows
Hmm.
she's not going to make that mistake again
Yeah.
and risk her life or anyone else's.
I mean, I wouldn't want her to make any more excuses for it. So, and I want to hear that she's going to stop drinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's probably the most
stop.
important thing we need to
Yeah.
hear. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
She clearly has a problem.
Yes. Yeah. And it's, I mean, the preview makes it sound like she has acknowledged that, but again, I have no idea what happens in that sit down. The other, seems very low level, but it made a lot of headlines. Mia Thornton got arrested for allegedly stealing $11,000 worth of furniture from a pre-furnished apartment in Atlanta. She was like apprehended at the airport. The story was more intense than the crime, it seems. Any thoughts on this?
We just recorded on this one, and I think my comment about it was this was the most Mia arrest I could think of. It's so random and unnecessary.
Yeah.
And also the furniture in those pre-furnished apartments usually isn't that great. It wouldn't even be worth spending the money and effort to move it out and store it somewhere.
Also,
Totally,
it went into storage. She didn't even use it.
Right.
It was just in a storage facility, according to her, when she was being arrested. So it's like, what was the point of that? You just wanted to store it for a little, maybe sell it? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, my takeaway just as a viewer was like, when you're off a show, you're used to, she was probably making pretty good money. She was on the show for like 4 or 5 seasons or something. She doesn't have that paycheck all of a sudden. And it almost made me just like sad because I'm like, oh, this is like kind of what happens. Like,
yeah,
she's not in that, what was the chiropractic business that she was doing? Like, she's not in the reality TV, the reality TV business that she was in. Like, I don't know how Mia is making money right now. And it makes me almost like sad to think about the fact that she felt the need to steal $11,000 of furniture.
Wait, what was her business called again? Her business had a
wasn't
name
it like the chiropractic or like the
no,
chiropractic?
it had a name that's actually it has a name that's actually really on point. Gosh, what was it called?
I'm looking it up. Chiropractic. It was called the Joint Chiropractic.
Yes, thank you. The Joint.
Yeah, there we go.
I thought
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
What do you mean the Joint? Like
yeah, the Joint. Yeah.
Like prison.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and also
like people call it the Joint. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is the biggest story of the year when it comes to Bravo, the Yosefo's arrest. It's one of the most unexpected things to happen in such a big, like, as Cesie, you were saying, it's just like, who could have ever thought this was going to happen? And obviously it's sort of
last on my list of suspects to be
truly
next.
Last. Yeah. And I think obviously now hindsight is 2020 and you see sort of the evolution of their lifestyle and the way they're presenting themselves. Obviously that sort of is now very notable. I guess the latest update is that they went to the courthouse. They asked for their cases to no longer be tried separately, and the judge granted that request. And that came not that long after they had requested to be tried separately, and that was when they called the arrests illegal arrests, correct, or something like that. Talk to me about the latest from the Yosefos and your 2 cents on it.
I'll let Cesie start on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so their filing was that basically most of the evidence was like fruit of the poisonous tree. Is that what it is? Like, is that what it's called, Angela? Like,
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I get my idioms confused, but basically that when the evidence was collected or the way in which they gathered the evidence and enforced the search warrants was inappropriate or somehow legally defective. So then any evidence collected during that defective search or seizure should be removed from the case or inadmissible because it was
Obtained.
Obtained.
Yeah,
Right.
obtained. Yeah.
Okay.
So fruit
Allegedly.
of the poisonous tree. Like the tree's messed up.
That makes
so
sense.
Can't
Got
eat the
it.
fruit.
Everything that's
Yeah.
grown off of it. Okay, got it.
Exactly. That's one of those very visual legal terms.
Yeah.
I like when they do that. But yeah, so they initially wanted the trials separated. And my thought was maybe Wendy's counsel thought that there was some stronger evidence against Eddie and she wanted to be distance herself from it. But I think that they want it back together now so they can combine resources, combine strategy, and really show a joint defense and a joint front in defending their charges.
Does that mean that they have to get the same, but they'll either both be charged or not both be charged?
Well, I mean, they've already been charged, and
Or
so
sorry, I meant sorry,
yeah.
convicted. Sorry.
No, at trial, like the charges against them are separate, so they can still be tried together,
Okay,
which is a lot more efficient for the state. And if they're not pointing fingers at each other, it allows them to combine resources, and it just means that they can, like, the jury could come, like, let's say it goes to a jury trial, the jury could come back and find that the state proved all of the evidence against Eddie, for example, but that for some of the charges that the state didn't prove all of those charges against Wendy. I'm not saying that's what I think will happen, but just because they're being tried together doesn't mean they have to get the
got
same
it.
verdict.
And do we know when we'll get a response from the judge in relation to the what was it, the poisonous fruit of the forbidden tree
The
or
fruit
whatever
of the
that was, like
poisonous tree.
the fruit of
Yeah.
the poisonous tree? Like, they haven't ruled on, they haven't responded to that claim, have they?
The
Okay.
government recently filed their response, but we don't have a decision from the
Okay.
judge yet.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
what
also,
did you,
like, going back to, sorry, not
yeah,
to,
yeah, no,
sorry
no,
for
of
cutting you
course.
off, going back to their request to have it separated, just because they requested it didn't mean that they were even going to get it. So in this case, I don't think the judge would have ordered them to be separated. So I think they probably read the writing on the wall and then just
Right.
decided to ask the
Okay.
judge in person. Yeah.
Right. What did you guys make of the previous? I feel like the previous report was, it was on like a Baltimore news outlet about like the pseudonyms they were using and having 40 credit cards, and they responded to that pretty quickly that day with a statement on social media, pretty strongly. What did you make of that back and forth that day? Because I couldn't tell from a non-expert's mind of like whether that was just like total distraction, just like kind of a good headline, or if it like really meant anything.
Cesie had so many interesting thoughts on this, and we recorded on it. So I'm going to let Cesie
So,
take this.
okay.
Oh, sorry. My brain's blank right now. I was looking up the statement because I wanted to
Okay.
refresh myself
I'll
on
start then.
what she
Okay.
said. Yeah, please
Okay.
go.
Yeah. So they put out the statement right away, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit unusual for the police to maybe release some of that. And it seemed like
Right.
the government law enforcement are playing into a little bit the fact that there's so much interest in this case, but then you almost can't blame them. The pseudonyms, I think I cackled and I texted immediately when I saw them, and I was like,
Was it
not Eddie Hennessy,
Eddie Hennessy, right?
not Eddie Hennessy.
Woof.
But that doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong, right? They are in the public eye. They're getting
Hmm.
deliveries. I can imagine, like, it's not like the packages always get delivered to the right place. Maybe you don't want
Hmm.
someone to look at that and be like, "Ooh, that's that reality star down the street. I'm
What
getting
they
their I
order.
don't know.
Right.
But they probably know she lives there.
I
Like,
know, right?
she
Yeah.
has camera crews
Yeah.
go in and out. So I don't really
I
think
mean, one
there's
of her neighbors
any.
called Tamara Judge, so
Right. Right. I thought, well, the statement itself, I thought was just weird to put out. I don't know. It seemed to be attacking the police for
hmm.
responding in the way that they did. And I just thought it was a strange response. I want to look at it again.
And from a PR perspective, I mean,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not PR people, we're attorneys, but from a PR perspective, the more stuff that comes out, the more it keeps people interested. So if the
Right.
police had put that out and they just didn't have their attorney put out a statement, maybe that
It could have
credibility
died.
died out a
Right.
little bit.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah. So the statement, looking at it again, it says the public release of the family's private financial details serves no lawful purpose and only invites conclusory opinions about a case the state is obviously still investigating. So they seem to be throwing shade at the state for still engaging in an investigation, but they had to have probable cause to file the charges at all. So I think they did most of their investigation before charging Wendy and Eddie. The fact that they're still investigating is not that abnormal. It happens in civil cases too. You exchange discovery. You're strengthening your claims as the case goes on. So it's not that weird for the
Hmm.
government to still be asking for discovery from Wendy and Eddie to really sharpen up their case. That's not strange. So
Yeah.
for them to put out a statement that suggests it is, I don't know. I didn't.
That's, I feel like that's more playing to people who are supporting them and fans of the show who are like, oh, like they're being treated in an unfair way. And I think that was also implied in another part of that statement, if I remember correctly. And also part of it wasn't that like they hadn't been contacted for like since, the quote unquote burglary happened, and a year later, they like hadn't been contacted or in touch with the police at all or something in that year. I want to say was part what they said at one point. Is that unusual for them to not sort of be in contact with them and then they're all of a sudden just like arrested?
No, and in fact, I mean, this is a state case, but I would say that's, especially in federal cases, very common because they're collecting
Got
all
it.
the evidence and they're
Right.
going to
They
have
don't
it
want you to
all
know they're
before
onto
they bring a
them.
charge.
Yeah.
I thought, the more sort of odd thing was that they were claiming that Wendy and Eddie were being treated differently and more
Mhm.
harshly than other people in the public eye. And it's like, Dorit and PK, for example, had video of actual people coming in their house, and they weren't even accused officially by the police or law enforcement, to our knowledge, in any way whatsoever. And if you Google like Dorit PK robbery
Yeah.
and Reddit, you just look at the mountain of stuff that comes up. So I don't think they're being treated any differently than any other of the reality stars that have had something like this happen. The difference is they got arrested for it, and there's been some evidence released that doesn't look great in their
Hmm.
favor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the statement says it is common knowledge that other Real Housewives cast members have also been victimized after documenting their travel on social media, yet none face this level of scrutiny or criminal charges. It's almost like saying, hey, all these other people were burglarized or robbed when they were on vacation, so why can't you believe us? And it's like, well, clearly the police went, they allegedly saw that there was no sign of really a break in, no consistent evidence of a robbery occurring. And that's why you're facing criminal charges and being scrutinized. It's not because you're a real housewife,
Right.
or I don't know, any other reason. It's not, it's just such a
Yeah. Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
thing to
Yeah.
say in a statement.
Totally. And like for me, I think you guys even brought this up on your podcast, but I was the only person to ever ask her about this incident in an
Yes.
interview.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
And we talking about the Dorit and PK thing. That was an entire storyline on the show
Yes.
because unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to think about this, if you're a real housewife or a reality star and this something like this happens to you, that it's great fodder for the show
It's
because
free
it
storyline.
yeah,
It's a
it's free
free
storyline.
storyline where you're
It
the
makes
victim.
you are the victim exactly.
Yeah,
Like there's no reason not to bring it up on the show and to like talk about it whatever. Never talked about, never mentioned. And that to me is like
exactly.
You're
I
hiding
said that
it.
too. Yeah, that to
Yeah.
me was like the
Angela said
most,
that.
yeah, the most sort of suspicious thing to me is that you've been on a reality show for several years now. You know how this goes. You have a free storyline where you can talk about all this trauma to your kids. You're the
mhm,
victim. These people came into your house, and meanwhile, I think she only talked about it with you.
How
which
did
is
you know
cool
about it?
Yeah, how'd you find out?
because I interviewed her at the beginning of that season, and a lot of times when I do an interview with a housewife at the beginning of a season, there really isn't that much to go off of. Like maybe I've seen the premiere, but like it's kind of hard to fill up like a 20-minute interview even. So I just had Googled her name to see what had happened between seasons, if I had missed anything or whatever. And the TMZ story came up, and I was like, because you can even sense in the interview, I'm like, wait, like did your house get broken into or
Yeah,
something? Like I
Yeah.
don't really remember this happening. And that was like 5 or 6 months earlier. Um,
Oh my
and it
God.
was that's why I asked because it was like one of the top Google results when you search her name, whatever that was, like in September, October of that year. So I did not remember it happening, you know?
Do not be surprised if you get a subpoena for that entire raw footage.
Well, I have it. So, nothing to hide, nothing
No,
to hide.
exactly. You have nothing to
Yeah.
hide. But yeah, that
Yeah,
is
I know,
phenomenal. Phenomenal
totally.
reporting.
Listen, here we go. Listen, on the ground, on the ground journalism right here.
boots on the ground journalism. That
There
was
we go. There we
that was
go.
amazing.
The last two things I want to ask you. The one thing is that I'm surprised she was at BravoCon. I'm surprised
Yeah.
she's been posting on social media. And I think some of the social media is contractual because I'm guessing they're supposed to promote each episode of the show. And a lot of them are pretty promotional for the show. But there was one recently where it was like, thank you, God, for protecting me after everything I've been put through or something. And I think the social media activity is really notable that it's continuing, that it's obviously pushing a certain narrative from their perspective. Does that like hurt or help, or is that just neutral for her?
She
In
needs
like,
to pay her attorneys, and she needs the job. she needs the income now. I mean, this is a crime of
Yeah.
dishonesty, what they're accused of. So that's very, very serious for Eddie's law license. I mean, even
Hmm.
just being charged with a crime in almost every jurisdiction, you have to report that immediately, especially if it's a crime of dishonesty, to the bar and keep them updated on the progress of the case. And Eddie had a real lawyer job. He went to very fancy law schools. He's very educated, very accomplished. That is a huge, huge, scary thing that
Hmm.
he may not have that to fall back on if they don't continue this reality show
Right.
career. And
Right.
then I think he's just the face of Happy Eddie, right? Like, I don't think he owns the dispensary or owns any grow operations. I don't know for sure. But there's also a lot of laws and regulations around who can do what with
Hmm.
any sort of THC business. And with the stupid legislation that they pushed through in that stupid bill, it could all get really scary right now. So they need the reality
Mm.
TV income. They need it. I would be
Yeah,
very worried if I
I
were them.
believe that.
I also want to compare it to Jen Shaw. Jen Shaw continued, I think, a season after she
Yeah,
was
you're right.
charged, and she maintained her innocence. And I think Bravo, just from the way they handled Jen Shaw, I think up until she pled guilty, they were fine with having her on the show and fine having her continue her obligations as a Real Housewife. But Jen Shaw crossed a line because then she started selling free Jen Shaw or Justice for Jen Shaw merch,
God.
free Jen Shaw merch, and that was used against her in sentencing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So if Wendy crosses the line and is like, well, assuming she's guilty and then gets sentenced,
Yeah.
depending on how vocal she is about her innocence, that could come back to bite her.
Mm. That
I
that
think.
that I
Just
mean,
comparing it to Jen.
yeah, yeah, totally. And that is part of why I'm like I guess I'm not I guess from Angela, your point about the paycheck showing up to BravoCon, that is a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the posting on social media is what kind of gives me pause and how much it's still like I was expecting maybe like an Instagram post here and there. It's she's posting a couple times a week now and commenting places. It's just I don't know that seems I'm not an expert, but
She has
you know,
nothing. I mean, what else is she gonna do? Like, you
She needs the
know,
sponsorships.
she needs the
that's true.
sponsorships. She needs to keep herself out
You're
there.
right. You're
I mean,
right.
she needs it. And look at, I mean, look at Teresa Giudice. I know they call themselves Judice, but
N- yeah, no.
Teresa
It
Giudice.
feels wrong.
It feels wrong, and I feel I'm like, as an Italian, as my last name's Zangati, I'm like, I can't do the Judice. Like, it just sounds wrong and sounds wrong, feels wrong coming out of my mouth. But I mean, I there's a lot of things you can say about Teresa, but she has lived her whole life on reality TV, and she pled guilty, didn't sell out her husband, went to jail, let them film that. She wrote her book from prison. That was
Hmm.
published. Then she, had the Teresa Coming Home special, and she was able to pay off her fines and pay her restitution, pay her husband's legal fees, and do all of that while, coming back on the show and showing all of us on reality TV how that worked. When this first happened with Wendy, I was like, there is a way back from this. Like, let's say she is guilty and let's
Hmm.
say she owns it and says, you know what? I got caught up in this. This was me trying to keep up with everything. And she could even write a book talking about all the pressures of being the daughter of an immigrant and,
Totally.
how it led her to this. And I think people would be really interested in that. So I'm really interested in seeing, like, one, is this some kind of crazy thing where they actually are somehow innocent? Doesn't seem like it, using common sense and what we've seen. But even if she is, I think there's a way back. And I think if you are interesting and vulnerable and open, people are going to want to watch that. And it doesn't matter. It's not like she didn't commit the kind of crimes that Jen Shaw
They're
did.
victimless,
Right.
Mhm.
I
basically,
don't
right? So
I don't
yeah.
want to see Jen Shaw on my TV ever
Yeah, me
again.
neither. No.
Cesie and I know way too much about what she's done. We know how awful it was, and it's really hard to look past. Like, it's not good to do insurance fraud. That's not
Hmm.
good. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's okay. And it is a crime of dishonesty. It's bad. But this isn't the type of thing where she's stealing someone's grandma's retirement like Jen
Right.
Shaw did,
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
She's also having a really good season.
I
Initially, when
know.
she got
Her
arrested, I
best
was
ever.
I thought she wouldn't be able to make a comeback because I don't think she connected with the audience that well in prior seasons, but she's having a really good season.
I
So
agree.
now, after watching this season, when she was first arrested, I was like, there's no way she's going to have a comeback. I just don't see her fandom there. But now I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, maybe she will. She's having a really great season. She's
Totally.
still
Yeah.
funny on social media. Like,
Yeah. But I totally agree. It's like I would love to see at some point, again, just this is presuming a lot, but like some sort of ownership of, again, if she's convicted, if she's actually guilty, an explanation, then that's a good way to win people back is to really just like take all the airs off and just
Be
tell us.
vulnerable, be
Yeah,
honest,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
be as real as possible with the audience. And
Yeah.
even coming out and saying, like, I'm ashamed of what I did. And I'm really
Hmm.
examining, like, what led to us getting there. And I think people would be fascinated with that.
Hmm.
And also, reality, we're a forgiving crew,
We
the
are.
reality TV fans.
very,
You can
We
do a
are.
lot of stuff. And if you are vulnerable and open and
Totally.
entertaining, we will look past it.
Hmm.
and then maybe she could teach a course on this. She had a sociology, I think, of housewives course she was
Yeah,
teaching.
right. At Wesleyan. Right.
So
Hmm.
maybe that's the path
Yeah,
forward.
and that's the other thing. It's like they're just such smart people. It's just
Well, that's why I think Cesie and I were so
yeah.
flabbergasted when we were going through what the police released as the evidence. It's like these are two really smart people, one of whom is an attorney, and not just an
Hmm.
attorney. He's got, a business degree and tax certifications, I believe. And so these are two really, really smart people. And I'm like, this is the best they could come up with, allegedly. like,
The email allegedly,
like
I'm
this is the,
just
like
Yeah.
you put it in writing, like this is like, so it almost made me wonder, have they been doing stuff like this for a long time and been getting away with it, and then that's why they got sloppy? It makes you think those things, and it
right.
also makes me understand why the police and law enforcement would look into it more, because if it's like, is this like pulling the thread on a sweater where it's just everything's going
Totally.
to come undone? I don't know.
Hmm. Well, yeah, the next update will come December 19th, I believe. There's another hearing then. So I feel like we're still very much at the beginning of this whole,
Oh, this is the tip of
Yeah.
the iceberg for
We've
sure.
just
yeah,
scratched the surface. Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right, let's move down to Atlanta. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess I didn't realize that Britt Eady hadn't actually filed her lawsuit earlier this year, but she finally filed. She had said she was going to do it, I think, in June, and then in November she filed her $20 million lawsuit against Bravo and Truly Original. I guess I'll just go through a little bit of what she's accusing or saying. She had alleged that obviously the photos shown at Kenya's event were not her. We've
Mhm.
heard that from her, but she says that they understood how detrimental Kenya's actions were, but still made the disgusting decision to leverage it at Edie's defense at great expense. The suit also claims that Britt was prompted to discuss the incident on camera and discuss her sexual history. She said the defendants knew right away that the use of photos was beyond the pale and hugely improper and well beyond the show's standards, expectations, and stated sexual harassment policies. Um, she's seeking compensatory damages, including back pay and front pay, past, present, and future pain, suffering, and other hardships, yada, yada, yada. Um, does this have legs? $20 million lawsuit?
It's the contracts they sign.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult for them because they essentially agree in the contracts we've seen. For example, in Leah McSweeney's lawsuit, we had 3 years of her contract, which Bravo attached as
Fascinating.
exhibits in federal court. So we were able to go through them. So those are the most recent ones that we have. And from what we've seen from other bits and snippets of contracts we've been able to get our hands on from various court filings, this is pretty similar to what's out there from what we
Got
know.
it.
And it's very like you give them the right to portray you in a false light. You give them the right to create Frankenbites. You acknowledge that you may be portrayed in an incredibly negative way and that you understand that and agree to it. You agree that they can lie to you and you agree that they can lie about you. So it makes it very difficult to bring a case. And then in the federal cases that we've looked at where these have been filed, the judges they've all been upheld. The contracts have all been upheld. So we haven't found a case where one of the contracts hasn't been upheld.
So
And
they're
obviously we
basically
don't have
bulletproof. Yeah.
no,
Well,
we don't. Yeah.
unless there's a sexual assault or sexual harassment piece to it,
Right.
then it gets like Leah
But it
McSweeney,
doesn't
the
sound like
reasons,
there is. Right.
yeah, the reason Leah McSweeney's, just to clarify that the reason that it's still in federal court and hasn't gone to arbitration is because of the types of claims that she brought. So if you're bringing like, I can't remember off the top of my head what her claims were
Americans with
exactly.
Disabilities Act and
Discrimination.
Pressuring to drink.
discrimination.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you have those types of claims, every other claim that you've brought gets stuck or stayed within federal court. So even if there were some that like necessarily could have been arbitrated, all of them are not. Does that make sense? I feel like I
Yeah.
explained
No, it
that
does.
in the opposite way. So Brittany Eady, I think she might be, I think she might be facing a motion to compel arbitration here.
Got it. Which means in layman's terms,
That they want this to be arbitrated. So
And when it's arbitrated, it's private, so we don't have access to the public
confidential.
court documents. Yeah.
from a cynic's perspective, when I saw this, we all saw what happened on the show, and a $20 million lawsuit to me feels like frivolous and just a little over the top personally. To go that high with a number and to make these big claims, is that part of the hope? Do you ever we'll settle this for an amount that's lower, but I still might get some money from this situation?
I mean, they all start out high, no matter what.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Not this specifically, just in general. Like, is that a move?
Yeah, the plaintiffs all start out high. Also, if you put $20 million a demand in a lawsuit, that's attention grabbing, right? It gives.
Yes, of course.
And she wants the media attention for the lawsuit she's filing against Bravo, because from her perspective as a plaintiff, that may give her some leverage, right? Like, here's this bad lawsuit that's up there that makes Bravo NBC production company look bad. They're going to want this to go away. I mean, you imagine that's part of the thinking. And then she may feel entitled to $20 million. But, I think that's more of an attention grabber.
She's unlikely to get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. My word.
Yeah. Well, don't want to undersell or allege your damages, because then you're stuck with what you allege.
Sure.
But I do want to make, just one edit to what I said earlier, is that the Ending Forced Arbitration Act bans arbitration for sexual assault and sexual harassment claims. So hers could not be arbitrated. Hers will have to live in federal court, but it could be dismissed because of the contract that she signed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting. Okay. Wow. All right. So that's an uphill battle, it sounds, for Britt Eady on that front. The other Atlanta thing that's happening right now is, Candy and Todd announced their divorce, and it seems like it was going to be pretty. And this is how it usually happens, right? It was going to be kind of amicable, and then they actually start their divorce proceedings, and now we know that he is trying to he's challenging their prenuptial agreement, and he's claiming he was pressured into signing it without proper legal counsel right before the 2014 wedding. And she is using Bravo footage to show evidence that that he wasn't forced to sign this prenup, and so now it's like the show footage is coming directly into evidence, which is so interesting to hear. So now it's getting ugly, I guess, between Candy and Todd, which I hate to see, but I guess we could have maybe seen it coming.
I think we could have seen it coming when he said during the show, what am I going to get if we get divorced? I think that was a clear sign that he was not happy with the prenup. But
I hadn't watched the Candy and Todd marriage special episode, so we've been saving clips to go through when we cover it.
Okay.
And this morning, I watched the one, like the big long clip where it's the day before the wedding and he still hasn't signed the prenup. Now, first of all, I want to make a point. I strongly doubt that she handed him that document the day before the wedding, because
no way. They were reenacting it for the show, probably, right?
Well, and also, but I don't know the whole timeline, but it looks to me like she gave it to Todd. Todd had the chance to take it to his lawyers. She had 2 different lawyers work on it for her that we know of, that she talks about. And if Todd sat there and waited to agree to it until the day before the wedding, hoping that maybe she would, that's not under duress. If she had handed that to him a couple days before the wedding, the week before the wedding, he didn't have time to have his own attorney look at it and give him advice on it, then I could see him claiming duress. Here, we have somebody that he is worked in the entertainment industry. He understands how contracts work. He obviously had time to have his own lawyer look at it, and then he just didn't sign it. And that's him waiting to sign it. Like, I disagree with that totally. I didn't like his behavior with any of it. And I'm like, what are you doing? If I had seen that marriage special with all of that, I would have been like,
Thought you would have thought differently this whole time.
You would have
right?
been with Mama Joyce.
I would have been like,
A scene that Todd
Mama
set up.
Joyce.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did Mama Joyce go about it in like the nicest way? No.
Of course
Do
not.
I think she was too harsh? Yes. But was she wrong? Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to note that Candy filed an amended complaint in this divorce where she says that the parties negotiated and drafted this prenup agreement together. So this was not a days-long process. This was over the course of maybe weeks or months. So to act like he had no part in this and didn't know about it is just completely false.
All right. Well, again, more to come there, I'm guessing, because that was just very recently that this all was
I know,
happening.
but she filed to get it sealed or like.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we might
So we might
not
not be
have
privy.
access to it because of the minor children involved.
Right. Okay. Well, honestly, this is one of those ones where I'm just like, I hope that it does not get uglier, because I hate when it gets to this point. It's just when there are such young kids involved, it's not fun to think about. You guys mentioned Leah McSweeney, so I guess like that is moving forward. Is there any other update there that you guys have covered recently, or because we don't need to go back through the details of that one. That one has been discussed ad nauseum. But
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked at it in a while, and I haven't been mad about not seeing Leah McSweeney's name somewhere. So,
well, the last thing I saw was when a Page Six story popped up of her posting on Instagram, like, this baddie that ruined your favorite franchise or something like that. Again,
like,
the social media activity is just, they can't help it, you know?
Like, don't.
Yeah, don't.
Like,
yeah, and also like, yeah, exactly. She's just asking for it at that point. But okay, so I guess we're just kind of waiting and seeing on that, I guess, with Leah. Miami, Todd Napola sued Bravo and Purveyors of Pop for $10 million in October.
Insane.
He alleges that he was defamed during the past 2 seasons of the Bravo series, and he's seeking over $10 million in damages because of that. He claims defamatory statements falsely portrayed him as financially irresponsible or suffering from financial distress despite his multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio and long-standing business reputation. He alleges also that his name and likeness were featured on the show without his consent, and he's seeking $1 million in damages on this second claim.
Well, first of all, hi, Todd, because he's going to listen to this if his name is mentioned on it. Cesie did this great thing when we covered it where she clipped together all of like these Instagram videos of him talking about himself and his millions of dollars, because his whole Instagram.
The man loves to talk about millions.
Talk about social media activity. Oh my God, those videos.
Yeah. Cesie made this hilarious thing where she just clipped them all together, and it's like, when you have millions, blah, 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 and it's just Todd over and over and over again. The point we made in our episode was no one even remembered what this about, and no one was talking about you, Todd.
No.
And now the only reason we're talking about you is because you filed this lawsuit. That's it. So if you had just been quiet and faded away, you could have kept doing your Instagram stuff, talking about your millions.
Also,
with whoever watches that, I don't know who's interested in that.
If his finances are so great, why is he popping back up?
Exactly. If you're so concerned about Adriana saying just one-off thing that you're broke, which, you know, she also she didn't just say full stop he's broke. She didn't say that. She's tied it to loans and the interest rates and all of that. So she wasn't saying you're flat out broke. But if that little statement is causing you so much distress, are you okay? Are your finances okay?
I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I'm saying his reaction seems like it would be something a narcissist would do, right? It's like you feel like everyone's talking about you and really no one is, and no one cares. And then because you feel like your reputation in your head is not being portrayed the way you want it to be portrayed, like it is on your Instagram, for example, he had this overreaction to it, which just seemed ridiculous in our opinion. And I have no doubt that Todd is very wealthy and has a lot of money. That's great for him. No one cares. No one cares. Todd.
He also likely signed a release like everyone else. So,
right.
So suing Bravo is going to get him nowhere.
Yeah, I'm guessing those releases cover the footage.
Mm-hmm. in perpetuity.
In perpetuity,
In
forever.
perpetuity, that's the
Yeah.
phrase
Throughout
I
the
was looking for.
universe for all
Yeah.
time. It literally
It doesn't
says
matter
something
per
like that in the
season.
contract.
Yeah.
No.
How many times have they in the past flashed back to something from 10 seasons prior? Like that's not
Right.
him being victimized here.
Yeah.
So this is unlikely to to okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. Just wanted to I figured as such, but um the other Miami thing, which I have a hard time getting my head wrapping my head around, like how current this stuff is, or like if with Stephanie Shojay, the newest cast member, um, like I know that like back in 2021, she was sued by Masood's ex-wife and her daughters for defamation. But I feel like there's been other stuff that have popped up about her, but I never know honestly when it comes to this. Like, I guess it's kind of similar to what we talked about with Lisa and Bronwyn of like how serious do we take this as like a casual viewer of the show, or like what do we need to know about Stephanie? I guess is my question from your guys' just past coverage.
I think, well, we haven't covered her much, and I think Ceci and
Okay.
I were kind of waiting because we kind of had the same sort of impression
Yeah.
you had. Like, how seriously do we need to take this? Is this someone that's going to show up again? And so we're kind of collecting information and just because there are some kind of interesting lawsuits, but they're kind of old, and then it's
Yeah.
like, what's going on here? So I don't know. She's an interesting one. We've just kind of we're saving information where we see it, and we'll
Okay.
you know deep dive into it if it looks like it's worth it at some point.
Yeah.
She
I mean,
also
the defamation, sorry.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
just like she also sent Anakin Kosei a cease and desist for covering her on her podcast. So she has her eye on this stuff for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the defamation lawsuit was definitely real. And, there were reports that they settled. So
Okay.
something happened there. That at least has legs. The rest of it, I'm not so sure. Like her defaulting on a loan, allegedly, all of that. We haven't really dug into it enough to say whether or not it's worth digging into further, like Angela said.
Got it. It feels like one of those things that maybe it's like on her second season, somebody could bring up these things and then
The
it's
Miami
really more in
girls
the
are going to dig
spotlight.
into it. All of them are
Right.
going to go through the court records,
Alexia has that printout.
the
Do you know?
printouts.
Adriana's
Right.
already
Yeah.
working on her quotes.
We'll get
Yeah.
a dismissed lunch part 2, but it'll be in Miami. Got it.
Literally, yes.
All right, last city that we're covering today is Beverly Hills.
Favorite.
Yeah, you guys have. I guess we'll start with Erica. You guys have covered her situation very heavily, and there's it's two major separate things, right? The Marco one, and then the one that was recently, I think in August, it came out that she will be headed to trial over the $25 million spend, and whether she sort of, I guess, is the question whether she knew that was the stolen money? Is that the question?
It's whether or not that needs to go back to Tom Girardi's law firm's estate
Okay,
to
so
then
she might
go
have to
to
pay that
creditors.
back, whether or not she knew about it.
Right. So it's not
Okay.
a criminal. There's no knowledge element here.
Okay.
I guess there is the question as to whether or not she signed the agreement, right, Angela, like the loan agreement. But I don't.
I kind of think like she did, and
Mhm.
she was like, it was a loan. Like I kind of think she did, but that's still a little nebulous. But she signed the tax returns, and she's admitted to that. And the tax returns show that this money was going to her company.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big question where it ended up.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
Yeah, that $20+ million went to fund her and her
Erica Jane Global or whatever it is.
her EJ
Mhm.
Global activities and associated costs.
Okay.
And
So-
the trustee had a really big undertaking to go through and tease out what exactly needs to go back to the estate. And they're going to have to prove that all that money needs to go back to Girardi Keese's estate. So it's a heavy lift,
Yeah.
but
And that's
I'm
a big
excited for that
amount.
trial. Yeah.
It's a big amount. Wow. That's the biggest amount we're talking about today. And then the other thing is the Marco situation. TLDR on any updates for this year that we've gotten in regards to that, because I know you guys cover it.
The federal case in California is still proceeding. So the federal agents have been kicked out of the case, the Secret Service, and who else was it? I feel like there was someone other federal. And then is American Express still in?
They're still in.
American Express is still
Okay.
in. So American Express is still in. Eric is still in. Leia and Mikey are still in, and that's still ongoing. And they're getting to the point where they're actually doing Discovery now, and it's going to proceed further and further.
Okay.
And
Got
then
it.
there's a lawsuit in Florida that's happening as well. So
Oh, what is that one?
it's also Marco, similar
Okay.
claims.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one Marco, even though his last name is not Marco. One Marco is in California, one Marco is in Florida.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. I don't think I realized that. And it's just so interesting because I obviously on the show, we're not discussing any of this.
No,
You
no
know,
one
it's
brings it up.
it's very much being presented as like we've moved past this. We are rebuilding, which like in a certain respect, great. Like that's but on the other, it's like wait, there's these three things that are happening that are just completely being ignored and unaddressed.
Yeah,
And
the
yeah, it's
closest
just
it's come to coming up on the show has been on Instagram, where why am I blanking on her name right now? The Oscar nominee, Jennifer Tilly.
oh
Jennifer
Tilly.
Ceci pointed this out, and I was like, ooh. In last season, when Sutton had that like masquerade party or whatever, Jennifer Tilly showed up in Marco Designs and tagged Marco in her Instagram, and we were like,
I
oh,
forgot
that is
about
just
this.
It
delicious.
was amazing.
That was amazing. So, because not
Okay,
only
so
is she supporting them, she's like in like in this very elegant way, being like, they're still around. Like, and look at
and
this
it's
fabulous
like
thing they made for me to wear for this party,
I
which
guess you
I'm sure
imagine
she
that she
paid
brought
for
it
in
up,
full.
and also imagine she brought it up, but they just don't want that to be a
Hmm.
storyline right now
Hmm.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they protect Erica so much. I find that very odd. I feel like she gets a lot of producer protection on that show. And part of it is like, okay, I get you don't want her making statements and then having all of the footage subpoenaed and having to deal with all of that. But this is something that's very much going on, and it's in the public eye, but no one brings it up.
Yeah, and it's also just like you imagine, okay, let's just say in 3 to 6 months or whatever the timeline is, she is ordered to pay back this money or something. Are you still going to ignore it on the show? You know,
Yeah.
that's
You
$25 million.
cannot ignore that. If they
Yeah.
ignore
Right.
that, I'm already
There's
frustrated
no
with Beverly
way.
Hills.
Yeah, of
I think
course,
I
but
would, I don't know.
yeah.
I wouldn't stop
Well,
watching because, whatever, but
no.
I would be very angry,
Mm.
begrudgingly watch. But did you guys see the clip for the next episode where she does acknowledge Tom going to prison?
Mhm.
And she's
Oh,
like, not sure
yes.
if she wants to visit him or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, you
It's
took
from
all
the
his
personal
money,
it's
go
from the
visit
personal
him.
angle, but it's also it's their it's presented from the very personal angle of like this was my ex-husband, like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
has dementia, like should I visit? It's more that angle versus
Hmm.
like this guy fucked up my whole life basically, and whether I was knew about that or whatever. Again, that's not acknowledged. That part's it's more like
Right.
It's so
we're no
odd
longer
to me.
together, and it's so heartbreaking. It's wild, and we all know, you know.
My
Yeah.
my biggest problem with Erica when this came out was, I think Ceci and I are really fair. We're like, you have the right to defend yourself. We completely understand not wanting to speak on legal issues on camera to open something up. That we get. But it was when she was making up all the different stories that didn't make any sense and didn't connect, and then treating the fans like they were stupid and like they didn't, deserve to be interested or question anyone about this. It's like, this is the biggest scandal in the legal community probably of all time.
Oh,
With
yeah.
John
Rocked
Boy having,
California.
yeah, huge repercussions in the California bar, repercussions across the nation, and it had a negative effect on so many different people, not just the victims, but also, I mean, there were attorneys that had cases where they should have gotten paid as well,
Hmm.
and so
Right.
there's all of this stuff going on, and obviously the worst part is the victims of these catastrophic incidents not getting paid and being lied to. And Erica showing up and telling different stories. Well, Tom broke his ankle. No, he drove his car off his cliff. No, he did this. No, he did that. Or I'm leaving him because he's been mean to me. Or, I'm leaving him because like he's just not
Mm.
nice to me anymore. But then none of that seemed to matter until like the money was gone. And so it's
Right.
like either you left this man because you found out he was doing all of this stuff and it was horrible and you wanted to get away from it, which I think everybody would understand, right? If she was like, I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea because it's not reasonable of us to say like, oh, Erica should have known everything. She's not going through his law books. She's not
Mm-mm.
working
No, of
his
course.
law firm.
She was signing those things and looking and keep
Right.
walking away in her heels. It
Right.
wasn't. Yeah.
Also, a lot of that stuff is extremely confidential, and so he wouldn't
Right.
even when he got a settlement, if he was paying it out to the right person, unless it was public, you can't even tell your own spouse about that when you're married.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like we're
Yeah.
both lawyers. We can't tell our spouses things. So we didn't think it's unreasonable for her to not know, but it was her behavior of thinking
Right.
like, I'm going to tell this story of like, oh no, all this stuff happened because he had a concussion. And so that's why the money didn't go where it's, it's, I just
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
like, I didn't
Yeah.
like how she treated the fans, and I
I
didn't
get
like
it.
how,
Mm.
it's just,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. It
really,
came across like she had something to hide instead of
yeah.
being a victim of Tom.
Right.
Um, which also like, I don't, if you loved him so much and you profited from him so much and benefited from him so much, go say bye.
Yeah.
Just go say bye.
At least put some money on his books. Like,
Yeah. Let him buy some popcorn.
get him like,
Give him a one episode fee. If he appears, he has to be paid.
And he was so proud of her. Like,
Yeah.
it was a big scandal when he played her video
Right.
in the
Right. Oh
Italian
my
American
God.
Bar Association that he was like, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
like it's so it's like he was that proud of you and financing all of your stuff. The least you could do is send him things in prison, or at least go visit him. I mean,
Just go say bye. Like, come
Right.
on.
Right.
He made you Erica Jane.
yeah.
Ah,
He's a
wow.
horrible person.
Yeah.
but
We
didn't.
not
We weren't
co-signing
married.
what he did. Yeah.
No. Yeah, we didn't marry him. You did. We didn't profit
Mhm.
off of him. You did.
Mhm.
So like so it's like think about it this way. Either she abandoned him when he needed her the most, like if all of that dementia and stuff was true, and she's like, bye bitch, I'm taking off. Like, sorry for you. Or like she knew this bad stuff was happening, or a couple just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Be like, he was rude to me. I know part of that was dementia, but also like I had no idea he was doing all this stuff. And as soon as I found something out, like that it was not good, I took off. Like,
Yeah.
we would have respected that as
Yeah.
an audience. Like if she had handled it
Absolutely.
differently, we would have been like, oh my God, this woman that, did her time. Because she probably felt like she was in jail while she was married.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that she
did her
wanted us
time
to
for
feel.
20
Yeah.
plus years. She did time with him.
Yeah.
And she felt like she earned all of that. She's like, I put up with this old man for I don't know how long and went to all of his lawyer stuff and did all these things and lived in his house and followed his rules. And she probably felt like she earned all of that.
Right. It
Stuff
it
that-
almost feels like she was just like, from like a PR perspective, like ill advised at the beginning of this whole thing.
There's no way she
And-
was listening to any PR person. There's just no way.
You know, yeah.
In the
There's just
beginning.
it just felt like she like took one step this way and she just couldn't look back almost, and she couldn't.
Maybe
admit
Mikey
that
was
she
telling
did
her
it
what to
wrong.
do.
Yeah, maybe it
I
was
can
Mikey.
see that, and
I think
he's
she
the
was
image
mad.
guy.
Mhm,
She was
exactly.
like, I did my time.
Right.
I
Yeah.
put my time in with this old man and his old wrinkly whatever for I don't know how long in his crusty musty old house that he wouldn't repair, and I asked him for this and he gave it to me and I didn't know where it was coming from, and that's none of my business. And she just
Right.
seemed very angry.
Yeah. And if she had said any of that, it's not like she would be in a different position than where she is right
Right.
now. I think she had a feeling or a fear that if she acknowledged any of it, she would, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
what
think
she
you're
was
right.
thinking,
Yeah, I think
but
you're both.
I mean, she can now acknowledge it. He literally was sentenced and found guilty. So it's no secret. He defrauded a
Yeah.
bunch of people and she
Mhm.
can acknowledge it, but she's just going to wash her car in her stilettos. And
Oof, that was an interesting scene.
That was a choice.
It was.
yeah.
The other big Beverly Hills thing that we don't have to talk too much about because I don't. So Denise Richard got her 5-year restraining order against her ex
Thank
her ex Aaron. Yeah, thank God. But that was like something that totally erupted, and it felt like it was a top story for a couple months there. But do you think that her getting this restraining order granted, like, will make that situation maybe a little more make less headlines, or do you think it's going to continue on to be ugly from how you guys are paying attention to it?
I think it'll continue to be ugly, but not because of Denise, but because of Aaron. He can't
Yeah,
seem to get
he's
himself
so-
out of articles. He loves to speak to the media and bash Denise. And I don't think he's going to stop doing that. even
Okay.
if there is a restraining order out there.
Okay.
It's just to keep him away from her, but he's still going to go to TMZ. So I
He's
don't think it's going to stop.
For what? Like, come
yeah,
on.
for attention. I don't it's
Yeah.
And abuse.
yeah, we didn't realize how bad the situation was. I think when we like a lot of when we did our first episode on this, a lot of it hadn't come out, and
Hmm.
how the
Right.
allegations of abuse and how awful that was, and how afraid she was of him, and then getting that type of restraining order that she got isn't that's not just like a rubber stamp thing. So the court believed her and is like, you have to stay away from this woman, and I'm very grateful that that
Me too.
happened.
Me too. Well, we'll just, I guess, continue to follow that. Again, I hope it doesn't get as ugly as you're saying, but I think you're probably correct.
I don't think he's gonna
Um,
be able to help himself. I think
no,
Mm-mm.
it's
no,
yeah.
and it's, yeah. The last thing, I guess, this year, Dorit filed for divorce officially. Um, we're going to hear about some of that on the show, clearly. Um, has there been any major update in that regard, in their divorce, or is it, um, it feels like one of those things where maybe on the show we're going to talk about how contentious it is, but in public it doesn't seem like it's as contentious necessarily,
To
or in
our knowledge,
actuality.
there hasn't been any major
Okay.
things going on in the divorce. She filed, I
Yeah.
think, proceeding. There hasn't been a lot of stuff, but just from what we know of PK, he's crazy smart. He's really, really smart, and
Savvy.
he is incredibly savvy with legal issues. I mean, we went through pleadings and all kinds of stuff with his bankruptcy. We read court transcripts where he was on the stand in the bankruptcy hearing. He's had creditors coming after him before, and very sophisticated creditors, like the
Hmm.
Bellagio has come after him
Wow.
for something like $20 million. And the way he navigated those claims is just shows his ability to sort of play that type of poker. And I don't think that's
Hmm.
going to bode well for Dorit. Now,
Got
Dorit's
it.
smart. She's not a dummy, but she does not have the experience that he has dealing with court systems both in the UK and in the United States. And he managed to keep whatever he had like clouded and
Hmm.
unavailable to various creditors. And I don't think that Dorit's going to be able to.
Like
I'm
penetrate
concerned.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
for
Right.
Dorit.
Mm.
Yeah. She also just doesn't have the resources he does, which
Yeah. The good thing is
unfortunately in our legal
the good
system
thing for her,
matters.
she makes good money on the show at this point.
Yeah.
That's a
Definitely.
good thing for her.
She's going to be
Um,
doing everything she has to keep her position on the show and
absolutely.
to take care of her kids and keep her
Hmm.
lifestyle and whatever she needs to do. And look, I've always kind of liked PK and found him charming. I can see why she got into that relationship with him, but he's not somebody I would want to have to deal with fighting over assets.
Certainly not.
She probably should not have gone to the Hermes store and bought so much stuff, given that she's a divorce she has
Well,
to pay for.
somebody thought those were like wrinkled used bags,
They
so
did look
that's
like
That
it.
was,
oh
Yeah, that was
goodness.
I did
interesting.
not like that scene. I was like,
No, me neither.
really?
It's giving
Ugh.
Selling Sunset, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah. Um, well, Ceci and Angela, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to run through all of this stuff with me. I learned a lot today, and again, it's been quite a doozy of a year in this from this perspective. And
Truly.
one, thank you for doing this today, but also two, thank you for all the work that you do because I think that you really do help to walk a lot of us through this stuff and to really teach us a lot of things about what's actually going on here. Because I think as we alluded to a lot today, it's like we get one view of it on the show, and that's obviously a very edited, filtered, produced version of it. And there's a sometimes totally different or way more complex situation playing out in actuality in all this stuff that you again help sort through for honestly you're literally doing something for this Bravo community. I truly believe that, and I just wanted to say that before we signed off because it's very very appreciated, and it makes it so that we're not all flying blind here. Truly.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
We'll come chat
Yeah.
with you anytime. This was
Oh
fun.
my
I
God.
know.
Yeah,
I
this was
know.
really helpful and great, and I think people will really appreciate this. I know that you guys, I'm sure the one that you did is even more in depth, but I wanted to really do a broad strokes kind of again assessment of what happened this year from a legal perspective in the Bravo world. I think that we did that today. So
It's
um,
only December 7th. Like, who knows
that's
what's going to
true.
happen?
There
Me and
is a
Jesse
whole
and I were
other
like, oh my
OSEFO
God.
hearing. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're trying to
The,
take December off. And we're like,
the,
somebody's
the
going to.
Bravo docket, you guys release episodes.
Every
Is it
week.
every week? Okay. And
Hmm.
then, okay, got it. What's the latest thing that you guys are chatting about on there?
Wendy, actually. So
Okay,
her filings, the government's response,
cool.
all of that.
Okay,
Hmm.
awesome.
We're
Well,
recording on Jared Osmond today.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
He does
yeah.
oh,
Yeah. They've
woof.
got some juicy
I'm
stuff
excited to
going
hear that
on.
one.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time today on a Sunday of all days. And again, everyone go listen to the Bravo docket to get more educated about all this stuff. And thanks again for being here. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having
Thank you for
us.
having us.
Yep. I want to gab.